Good morning. Tuesday, October 20th. I want to thank those of you that continue to watch these videos. I met a pastor yesterday at the park, someone that used to be in my youth group years ago, and he became a pastor. And we were talking about the videos, and he said, you must have a group of people that are really faithful to you to keep getting that many views for as long as you've been doing it. And it made me think, wow, I've been taking you guys for granted. That's true. So many of you have stayed faithful for over 8 months now. It's like, if you need to give you a big thanks, and God will bless you for that. We're in John 18, where Peter tells Jesus earlier that I will never leave you, Jesus. And Jesus makes a prophecy, a prediction, and says, Peter, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. And so we'll read here verse 27, where again Peter denied, and at that moment a rooster began to crow. Morning, Anna. How about you? Do you make promises a lot of times? Are you able to keep your promises? Is it a good thing to make a promise? Should Peter have made that promise? Would it have been better if Peter had not made that promise to Jesus? Many times we've made promises even to God that we've never kept, regardless of what it might have been. Sometimes we make promises hastily, and then we're unable to keep them. So God tells us that we should never make promises to God or to other people. Why? Because we don't know what the future holds. You may well not be able to deliver on the promises you made, like Peter wasn't able to. Morning, Joanne. It says if you're going to do something, just do it. And if you're not going to do something, don't do it. Because broken promises hurt people. Especially children and grandchildren. There's been times where I promised something to my grandchildren, and then we end up not doing it, and they say, but Grandpa, you promised. I said, I know, but I can't do it now. He said, but yes, but you promised. They're like hurt because Grandpa's breaking their promise to them. It would have been much better just to have told them, well, Grandpa will try, but there's no guarantees, instead of just promising that I'm going to do something. Like I could say, hey, I promise I'm going to take you to the park tomorrow, and then something happens where I'm not able to bring them. Boy, they remember that. Let me tell you, they remember that. They said, but Grandpa, you promised that you were going to take us, and no matter I could give them 10 good reasons why I can't take them. All they remember is that I promised them. So promises, we kind of take for granted. God has something to say about this. Good morning, Doug. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Liz. God has something to say about this in the scriptures here. I'm going to read some to you here in Ecclesiastes 5:2. It says, do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. And then it goes on to say in verse 4 and 5, when you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in fools. Fulfill your vow. It is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. Wow. Sounds like God takes this seriously. Don't be hasty in making a vow. Better not to make a vow than to make it and have to break it. There's a whole part here that we hardly ever look at here in Matthew. We look at these different headings of divorce, love your enemies, an eye for an eye, but in the middle of all that is oaths. And this is what Jesus had to say. Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you have made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond that comes from the evil one. Wow. Wow. Simply let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Don't make promises, especially promises that you can't keep. Peter made a promise to Jesus that he wasn't able to keep. And when he made that promise, he was convinced that he would keep it. He was convinced when Jesus started telling him about how he was going to have to suffer, and Peter's like, "No, Jesus, that ain't got. I will never leave. I will never leave you, Jesus." It's almost like the other disciples might, but I won't. And it was exactly the opposite. He abandoned Jesus. He denied Jesus. He made a promise that he couldn't keep. It would have been better for him not to have made a promise, and Jesus not have to hold it against him. In Proverbs 20:25, God tells us this: "It is a trap for a person to dedicate something rashly, and only later to consider his vows." It's a trap to make vows and later have to reconsider them. In 27:1 of Proverbs, God tells us this: "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." You can't make promises because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You are not Jesus. You could not prophesy like he did to tell Peter that you're going to deny me. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So that's why Jesus tells us, God tells us, just let your yes be yes and just let your no be no. Don't make promises that you can't keep. In James 5:12, God says this: "Above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, not by heaven or by earth or by anything else. Let your yes be yes and your no, no, or you will be condemned." How many times have you said, promise to somebody, I swear to God, I will do this. I swear to God, I will. And when God said, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't swear by God who's in heaven. Don't even swear by God on earth. For one thing, you don't even know whether you're going to be able to keep that promise. So God doesn't want you to make promises to him that you're not able to keep. Just keep doing his will, and you won't need to make promises. God doesn't want you to make promises to people. Just keep loving them, and you don't need to make any promises. You hear that? If you keep doing God's will, you don't need to make any promises to him. If you keep loving people, if I just keep loving my grandchildren, I don't need to make promises to them. And if there's something they want to do, and can we go to the park tomorrow? And I say, I don't know whether Grandpa will try, but I can't guarantee you. Instead of saying, yes, I promise I'll take you to the park tomorrow. And then I can't take them. That only hurts them. That's the opposite of love. So as long as I keep loving them, I don't have to make promises. 1 Corinthians, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. Love does not boast. Love is not proud. It is not rude. It's not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. I just have to keep loving them. So as long as I keep loving my grandchildren, I don't need to make promises to them. People make promises many times when they try to prove their love. Then you make promises. And that doesn't work many times because then we break those promises and then that person questions our love. So this is something that I never gave much thought to before. How many times I swear to God I'm going to do that. It's like, Peter, I swear to God, never going to leave you. I swear to God. And I never thought about that, how serious that was before. God takes it very seriously when you make a promise. A promise is a promise. I guarantee you, when I make a promise to my wife, I better keep it. If I make a promise to my grandchildren, I better keep it. They will hold me accountable. So it's no different with God. So I don't know whether this spoke to you at all this morning or not. It did to me, because sometimes we just rashly make promises. It made me really think now about making promises to people that not even knowing whether I can keep it or not keep it. So I don't know if this spoke to you. I hope that it did. As you know, every morning we have these devotions at 8 o'clock. I started out by saying this. I take you people for granted an awful lot. As I started out, if you weren't here at the beginning of the devotion, I met a pastor at the park yesterday that was in my youth group, and he pastors a church in Bellflower, and he was saying that he sees my videos on Facebook, on social media, and he was wondering how I get my people these people to stay loyal for so long. And it made me think about that. It's like, wow, I really take you people for granted. He was amazed that after 8 months, that many people were still watching these videos, and it really made me think. So thank you, those of you that are watching. Sharon Donovan, wow, thank you. Mary, you're so faithful. Boy, you were Miss Faithful. So thank you for being faithful to me, to God. I trust that God will honor that and will bless you and cause your faith to grow. Have a great day. Tonight is one of our youth videos. If not, I'll see you tomorrow again at 8 o'clock. Have a great day.